Dr. Deb Legge here with the first installment of our free video series on getting paid. Getting paid is one of the biggest concerns that I hear from my coaching clients who are just thinking about going into private practice. It's also a concern for many people who are already in practice. So I thought it might be helpful to provide this free video series so that you could get some tips and some ideas about how you're going to manage getting paid in your practice. This first installment is actually about whether or not you're going to decide to play this insurance game. Okay? Sometimes when you first start out, the idea of taking insurance in your practice can seem overwhelming. Okay? You may be credentialed in such a way that you are able to get on insurance panels easily, or you may have credentials that may make it a little bit more difficult for you to get on insurance panels. You may not have the licensure or credentialing that's required by the insurance companies in your area right now, but that may change. That's what happened to me. Or you can decide that perhaps you don't even want to participate with insurance, and that'll be one of the benefits of your private practice. But in any case, I wanted to offer you this video so that you can start to think about those things, so that I can put out some things for you to really consider when it comes to how you want to personalize your private practice with regard to your preferences about getting paid. So, the biggest decision that you really need to make, if you do have a decision to make at all, is whether or not you're going to take insurance. So I thought it might be helpful for us to just talk a little bit about the pros and cons of taking insurance and not taking insurance. First, let's talk about the pros of taking insurance. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that it's very beneficial to your clients in a financial way. For the first 14 years of my practice, I had 100% private pay, private practice. That's not unusual, and it's not necessarily any harder. You just have to do things a little bit different. And being a private pay, private practice, it grows over time, and it is my practice was very successful in that way. I had a six-figure practice, 100% private pay. A few years ago, licensed mental health counselors became licensed in the state of New York, and now we're able to get on insurance panels. But still, about 70 to 75% of my practice is private pay. However, one of the reasons I decided to take insurance, I really didn't need to because my book was full, but one of the reasons I decided to get on panel with insurance was for this reason, to help my clients out when they want to use their insurance to help them financially. One of the other pros of taking insurance is that you may earn more money, but you may not, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. You would think that you might be earning more money, but in some cases you're not earning more money by getting on insurance panels. Another pro about taking insurance is that the insurance companies can be a really good referral source for you. Whenever you're on panel for an insurance company, you're going to be included in their provider network, which is usually on the web or in the insurance books that people get when they get their insurance information. And so people will search by zip code, and they may see you, and it goes from there. You get calls. I saw you on the website for my insurance company. The other thing you might get are phone calls from the insurance company itself saying, we have a member in your area who needs treatment. Would you be able to see them? And yes, I'm happy to. And then you start getting more referrals that way too. So that can be one of the advantages of taking insurance. Another advantage of taking insurance is that you might fill your book a little bit quicker if you do take insurances from the start. But as I said before, and I'll talk a little bit about later too, that's not necessarily true. But it sure is a quicker way to add another source of referrals to the bucket so that you can start filling your book more quickly. But let's now take a look at the cons of taking insurance. One of the cons of taking insurance that I think I usually sell as a positive thing to clients when I tell them I don't take their insurance is this, that if I don't take insurance, I can better protect your confidentiality. Okay? I let them know that if I do take insurance, I'm going to have to provide a diagnostic code to the insurance company in order to get paid. And that means that in their medical record are going to be psychiatric diagnoses for which they're being treated, and that stays in their medical record. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's true. And if one con of taking insurance is that I have to provide that information to the insurance company. Another con for taking insurance is that you may earn less money. But again, maybe that's not true. It all depends on the insurance company. For some insurance companies, you're going to make more money on panel, and for other insurance companies, you're going to make more money out of network or off panel. Another con of taking insurance is that credentialing is not always easy. I'll talk a little bit about credentialing later, but for now, it's enough to say that all insurance companies are not created equal in many ways, and one of them is how to get on panel with them. For some, they make it very easy for you, and for others, it's a lot more difficult to walk through that process. Another con of taking insurance is that you will have to do billing. If you're going to allow a person to use their insurance, you're not going to get your money up front. You're going to have to bill for that. So you're going to have to make decisions with regard to whether you're going to do electronic billing, if you're going to do your billing yourself, if you're going to have someone else do billing for you. There are a lot of decisions to make then when it comes to billing. In addition to that, another con is that you're going to, as a result of the billing, have to monitor your receivables. Taking care of my book and taking care of my money are things that I have never given up in my practice in all the years that I've been in practice. Even at a time when I had 20, 25 clinicians on staff and 8 or 9 support staff, I never gave anybody else control over my book or my money. I would urge you to think about that yourself. It has allowed me to stay in touch with my business, and also I know that nobody, as great of a worker as they might be or an employee as they might be, nobody's going to look after my money the way I look after my money. So you're going to have to look after your receivables. Even if you hire someone to do your billing, you should be the person in charge of your receivables so that you can oversee that and talk to your billing person about collections and how you're going to get paid for what you've done, for your hard work. Another con of taking insurance is that you may have to wait a long time for your money. Again, when you have a private practice, people pay you as they walk in or as they walk out, and your money's there. The cash flow is great. It's wonderful. When you're working with insurance companies, it's going to vary. There are some insurance companies that I bill online that probably 3 to 4 days later, I've got my money in my checking account. Other insurance companies, and on average, it takes maybe 2 to 3 weeks for the turnaround of the money. And then some insurance companies, they lag and it takes them 6 to 8 weeks. And there are some government-based programs that hold up your money for quite a while, and it could be months before you're paid. So just know about that in advance. Another con of taking insurance is that you may have to provide OTRs or outpatient treatment reports to the insurance company to let them know how your client is doing, what the updated diagnosis is, how the treatment plan is going, and what your continued treatment plan may be. It takes a little time, but it's not too awful for some insurance companies. It's just a matter of faxing something in. For others, you have to call them and you have to talk to a utilization review manager, which is usually a registered nurse. The other thing that you might have to do is pre-certification, which means when someone comes to you, you'll have to call the insurance company and get permission to see them for the first time. Or you may have to get an authorization for a certain number of sessions, okay? Which means that you're going to have to ask for sessions, and as you go along, provide treatment information so that you can get more sessions. So those are the pros and cons of taking and not taking insurance. Let's heard for taking insurance. Let's talk now about the pros and cons of not taking insurance, okay? I don't want to confuse you here. Clearly, I'm confusing myself. Okay, so let's look at the pros of not taking insurance. One of the pros, of course, is that there's no billing. You don't have to worry about it. You collect your money, you do provide your service, people are out the door, and your cash flow is great. You can set your own fees, and you know exactly what you're going to be paid because those are the fees that you're setting. No one's going to negotiate fees with you. Nobody's going to change them at the last minute or anything like that. You get to set your own fees. If you don't take insurance, you can better maintain confidentiality for your client, as I described earlier. You don't have to release any of that information. If you don't take insurance, there are no OTRs, no pre-certifications, no authorizations to track. If someone gives you 8 sessions to see a client, that means every time you see that client, you have to be counting down, and when you get close to that 8th session, you're going to have to call them for more sessions. When you don't take insurance, you don't have to worry about that. So that's a pro. And you don't have to go through the credentialing process, which is kind of nice. You don't have to get anybody else involved. You don't have to go through all that big rigmarole of sending things in and keeping them updated. It's just a cleaner way to go. But now let's look at the cons of not taking insurance. One is that your potential clients may want to use their insurance benefit. They feel they've paid for it and they want to use it. So potentially it can affect whether or not you see each and every client that wants to see you. Also, your potential client may not have the resources for private pay. I believe that for the most part, a lot of people have the money for that which is important to them. But the reality is that sometimes there just aren't the discretionary funds to pay for something that you could get covered under your insurance. And I understand that for clients. Another con of not taking insurance is that you'll have to be more persistent and more methodical about your marketing efforts. Okay? If you have a private pay, private practice, your marketing efforts have to be based on that. You have to be marketing to the people who are going to be able to take advantage of your services given that limitation. Okay, so it's a much more methodical way of marketing. Another con of not taking insurance is that it may take you a little bit longer to build your referral base. As I said, for the first 14 years of my practice, I took no insurance whatsoever. And I built pretty quickly. I went from 0 clients the first day to about 24, 25 clients a week within 30 days, within 90 days. Within the first 30 days, I was up to about 12, I think, and then it built from there. And then by 90 days, I was seeing 24, 25 people a week, which for me at that time was full-time. So, I did that without taking insurances, but you'll have to see how that works for you. Another con of not taking insurance is that you may not feel comfortable discussing that with your potential clients and your referral sources. You may not be comfortable saying, I do not participate with insurance. It may be hard for you to say that with confidence. But as we'll discuss in another video that's coming up in this series, you need to come to terms with that, and you need to have a degree of comfort with that so that other people will have a degree of comfort with that. Okay, so those are the pros and cons of going either way. I want you to know, too, that all insurance companies are not created equal. They have differences in things like credentialing. As I said earlier, some will make it very easy for you. Some will make it a little bit more difficult. For some, you can just be credentialed by becoming a member of the CAQH, but it is not a definite, and a lot of insurance companies don't participate with CAQH. You have to actually fill out an application for each of the insurance companies. So it's not going to be the same for every insurance company. The other thing that insurance companies are not equal in are their requirements of you. Some have very few requirements, just that you see their patients or their clients and then you bill them. Others want the pre-certifications, they want the OTRs, they want you to track visits, they want a special paperwork from you. You'll have to see what it's like in the contract that you get from the insurance company so that you know exactly what you're supposed to do in order to get paid. And then the other way insurance companies are not all the same is with regard to payment. Some insurance companies are going to pay you a certain amount of money, and other insurance companies are going to pay you a lot more money. I've got some insurance companies in our market here that pay $60 for a follow-up session. And I've got insurance companies in my market that pay $125 a session. It's that big a range. So all insurance companies are not equal, so please be sure not to make your decision about whether or not you're going to take insurance based on what you've learned about one insurance company. Okay. You should know that some insurance companies just don't pay enough to make it worth your while. And this happens often with EAPs, Employee Assistance Plans or Employee Assistance Programs. I know we have one in our area that pays $30 for a session, and they expect you to do a 45 to 60-minute session with their members, and they also expect you to send them all kinds of stuff beforehand and after the sessions. So you're actually spending a couple of hours per session for $30. Hardly worth your time. You should know, however, with those types of companies that at times there is a negotiation. And you can tell them, I can't do that for $30. If you want me to do that, it's going to be $50 or $60, and you let them pass or play. I've had them pass, I've had them play, but I wouldn't let it go with that. Okay? What else do I want you to know? Private pay, is really the immediate gratification. You're getting paid, you do the service, you get paid, and your cash flow is really, really great. So I guess you have to decide what you want to do for your practice. Do you want to be 100% private pay? Do you want to do 100% insurance base? Is there a healthy mix that you can have that will make you feel good about you and the services you provide for your clients? Whatever you choose, you just need to be able to be knowledgeable and comfortable about the decision that you've made. You need to be able to discuss candidly and openly, without shame or apology, what your policies are to your prospective clients as well as your referrals. We will talk in another video about how to talk about this, but essentially you have to feel very strong and very convicted about your decision so that you can communicate that well to your potential clients and your potential referral sources. I guess that's about it. I want you to know that whatever you choose, it's right for you. Just make sure you get a system that's going to work for you with regard to getting credentialed, with regard to billing, with regard to following up on your money, setting your fees, and keeping your records. And once you do all that, you're going to do just great. So we'll end for today, and we'll talk about more of this later on in the series. And I can tell you that the next video that you're going to get is going to be about setting your fees and submitting your bills. I want to give you some tips on both of those things, and I look forward to it. Take care.